so many hotels.
Trouble booking the family vacay? Come on. Comfort us free hot breakfast for the whole fam.
They have waffles.
And splendid pools. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
On air and online, News 12's First Alert Traffic Network is sponsored by Mountaineer Pest Services. Protect your home at stopmybugs.com.
You love a cold, refreshing soft drink from McDonald's. So we got even colder ones.
Get any size frozen drink like new frozen Hawaiian Punch for $1.89 or a McCafe iced coffee for the same price. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Investigate TV is here.
You almost seem speechless.
Watch Investigate TV from the station that's on your side. This is News 12, First at 5.
If you're one of thousands of drivers who cross the Savannah River on I-20, listen up. Starting tomorrow, there is a change happening on I-20 eastbound, but if you are not careful, it could impact your commute in a very big way.
Georgia DOT warning you to be extra cautious on the road near exit 1 and be prepared for this change.
Our Hallie Turner joins us live just off exit 1 in North Augusta, where this traffic shift will take place. And Hallie, what do drivers need to know?
Well, you need to know for the most part, the shift really won't affect you if you're just passing through and getting off on a different exit. But if your drive puts you out right here on exit 1, starting tomorrow night, your drive may take a little longer. GDOT tells me for the next 2 months, every car, truck, and semi making a pit stop at the South Carolina Welcome Center will enter a detour, making for potential backup on exit 1. Normally, when you leave the Welcome Center on the South Carolina side, you can merge easily back to I-20. But this shift will merge those coming in from the Welcome Center with those already getting off on exit 1. While this construction has been around since 2019, locals say the minor changes cause a big impact when people aren't paying attention to their surroundings.
The exit ramp here is really narrow. They have barriers there, which I'm glad to have barriers. I understand it, but it's so narrow. Somebody not paying attention, going too fast for conditions. If they hit one of those barriers, they are designed to bounce the car back over so you don't go over them. They work very well, but they almost work too well because you'll end up pinballing back and forth. And then if other cars are involved, it's just a mess. And that's so narrow there that if you get one car stuck in there, it can jam that whole exit up. And so now you really got a problem. And I've seen that happen.
Oh, yeah. And coming up all new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we dive deeper into why this change is happening, and we'll give you an updated timeline of completion.
And we could see just every afternoon when we're here, we
Yes.
see the state line get backed up every single afternoon. And if you're not paying attention, you'll either miss that exit when these changes happen. So it's so important. Watch your speed, pay attention. Those are the biggest things here.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to go to Riley here
I think
now.
so too.
I think so. We're going to go to Riley.
We're just waiting on it to happen.
Yeah,
There we go.
Riley, we need you with the traffic here.
Yeah, there we go.
Look at the state line as well.
We will have that first alert traffic coming up in just a second, but we just saw Hallie outside, and it's not too bad out there today. We're actually getting a little relief from the humidity, so dew points have dropped down to the 60s. Still pretty hot in a few spots. I would say most of us are at least close to 90, but the heat index isn't too far off from our actual temperatures, so it is a nice day out there. We'll take a quick look at our heat index across the other portions of the CSRA. We're still staying in the 90s for most spots. Aiken's actually one of the warmer locations. Just saw their heat index get up to near 100. Now, as far as the radar goes, we are looking at clear sweeps for us here around the CSRA this afternoon. If we widen this out, though, we can see another strong storm complex moving in from the northwest. So this is going to continue dropping south and east and potentially could bring us some rain late tonight into early Thursday. And those storms potentially could stay severe into early tomorrow morning as well. But if you have any plans over the next couple of hours, temps will stay steady, 80s into 70s after sunset, and we should stay dry through at least around midnight. But heading into the overnight towards daybreak Thursday, that's when our rain chances will be going up, and there will be the opportunity maybe for a few strong storms. So we're going to have much more on this severe weather threat in that full forecast. Let's get a quick update now, though, on your first alert.
And now, First Alert Traffic.
All right, here's a look outside of I-20 and Riverwatch Parkway, and not seeing that slowdown just yet for this eastbound lane. Looks like traffic's moving okay, Mo. Give it about 30 minutes. We'll likely see that start to back up. Riverwatch Parkway's got a good flow of traffic, but it doesn't look like it's slowed down too much. Going out to the Gateway, Grovetown, Lewiston Road, exit 190 here. Usual backup off the exit, but it looks like Lewiston Road has a pretty good pace to it. Blue skies overhead right now, but we are tracking that chance for a few storms early tomorrow. Much more on that coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Riley. First-time parents are suing the hospital system that delivered their baby boy after he died during an hours-long delivery. And just a warning, the story is disturbing. The young couple says doctors at Riverdale Hospital failed to tell them that their child's head detached from his body during an emergency C-section. The family also alleges staff tried to cover it up. Today, the couple filed a lawsuit against the hospital, the doctor, and additional medical professionals involved. They're seeking compensation and punitive damages after their son's death. They say they were not told of their son's decapitation until 4 days after the delivery, and that news came from the funeral home. The family also alleges hospital staff told them a free autopsy was not warranted and that they should consider cremating the baby, efforts they see as an attempt to cover up their son's decapitation.
They did everything in their power to try to not let the family know what actually happened on that date.
In a statement, the hospital says due to HIPAA and privacy laws, they cannot talk about their care or treatment in this case.
A community mourning the death of a 15-year-old this evening after Monday's storms led to a tree falling on him. This all happening in Anderson, South Carolina. Evan Kinley was a high school sophomore and volunteer firefighter in his spare time. The coroner there says that Kinley was driving in the storms Monday when he stopped at his grandparents' house to try and escape the bad weather. He was in the home's garage when a tree fell on top of him. Now, one firefighter who knows Kinsley says that this loss is shocking.
They're hanging in there the best they can. A lot of still in shock. It's hard to imagine. I couldn't put myself in their shoes, or obviously wouldn't want to. But I think a lot of it is just it hasn't set in yet.
Kinley's father says that he also played football and was a friend to so many. The teen school also putting out a statement saying he will be dearly missed.
Another major defeat for Alec Murdaugh. According to attorneys, a judge denied Murdaugh's motion to vacate his confession regarding the death of his former housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. Murdaugh's team hoped to nullify a confession where he admitted to stealing more than $4.3 million from an insurance company and the Satterfield family in a wrongful death lawsuit. Satterfield died after falling at the Murdaugh's Colleton County property. Murdaugh claimed for years that she fell because she was tripped by his dogs, but back in May, he admitted to lying about what happened. Murdaugh's lawyers claim his other victims would not be able to get as much money due to the amount the insurance company is seeking. South Carolina's top prosecutor is calling for the companies he claims are responsible for polluting the state's drinking water and natural resources with toxic chemicals to be held accountable.
South Carolina now joining dozens of other states in suing major manufacturers and alleging they knowingly harm the state's environment and its people.
Our State House reporter Mary Green sat down with Attorney General Alan Wilson to find out what he wants to get out of this litigation.
Attorney General Alan Wilson told me these toxic chemicals have to be removed somehow, and says taxpayers shouldn't have to foot the bill. In a lawsuit filed this week in Richland County, the state is seeking punitive damages for what it described as companies' quote, egregious conduct.
That's public knowledge that they knew what they were doing was harmful and they said nothing, and that's what makes it egregious.
The lawsuit alleges major companies, including 3M and DuPont, knowingly contaminated state waterways for decades with toxic chemicals known as PFAS or forever chemicals. Their durability makes them useful in a wide variety of consumer products like food packaging and nonstick cookware, along with textile, electronics, and automotive manufacturing. But that's also what makes them so harmful, because they don't break down in the environment and are expensive to remove and destroy. DHEC says exposure to certain PFAS has been associated with increased rates of cancer, birth defects, and other adverse health impacts.
Conservation Voters of South Carolina, which advocates for environmental protections, calls these lawsuits vital and is appreciative the state is taking this action.
I think these lawsuits help achieve that goal on many fronts: accountability, awareness, and funding, potentially down the line to help deal with the impacts of these chemicals.
Wilson says it's impossible to know how long it could take to reach a settlement or another outcome, but adds he's prepared to fight as long as necessary. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
3M, DuPont, and other companies named in earlier lawsuits across the country have already agreed to settle for billions of dollars, but that's considered to likely just be the first wave of legal action, and those companies have not admitted to any liability in those settlements.
A Georgia veteran watches her leg deteriorate from a hospital bed just days after a tropical vacation. What followed her on her way home, changing her life forever. We'll have her story coming up next. Riley?
And we are looking to stay dry the rest of this afternoon and evening, but tomorrow morning we are looking at a low severe weather risk across the area. Updating the full forecast coming up.
Months of delays, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the work is moving forward. All new on News 12 at 6 o'clock. We'll be taking you into the towers here at Diamond Lakes to show you what work is trying to get done in time for a national softball series coming here in late September.
Welcome back, folks. Here's a live view at the Savannah River 13th Street Bridge. A beautiful afternoon to be outside. Our temperatures are holding steady, just a couple degrees below average for us. Right now we're at 90 here in Augusta and only feeling like 91, so the humidity definitely dropped off a little bit for today, so getting a little break there. Nice afternoon to fire up the grill, maybe heading out to get a bite to eat. We're looking at temperatures to hold steady near 90 over the next hour or so, then we'll drop down to the 80s as we do get closer to sunset. Not much rain in our forecast for the rest of this evening, even into early tonight, not expecting much, but once we widen out our first radar network, you can see another decent complex of showers and storms that is starting to drop towards the south and east. So this is what's going to be in play for us starting much later tonight and most likely even early tomorrow morning. So heading out to that bus stop, may just want to sit with the kids at the car until the bus does pick them up. There's going to be that opportunity for not only some rain, but possibly some severe storms. It's a low risk for most spots, but just can't rule out a stronger storm or two. If we see a good line that passes through early tomorrow morning, less of a chance we see that wet weather heading home from school, and we should be able to see those temperatures rebound, most likely mid-90s late into the day tomorrow. So here's our setup. This is where the current complex is moving through and producing a fairly high severe weather threat across portions of the Mid-South. So that complex continues to head our way tonight, and by the time it reaches us early tomorrow morning, this is where our severe weather risk comes into play. So when to pause this right around 7:30 a.m. Obviously, folks, this is just one model, not necessarily sticking with that exact time frame. I would give or take an hour on either side of this time. So early in the morning around sunrise, we're going to be tracking this line. Right now, the greatest chance for severe weather is highlighted in yellow. So that does include Columbia, Charlotte, Raleigh. That's where the ingredients are going to be highest, but we're still underneath this marginal risk for the rest of the CS race. So kind of the tail end of this line is going to be passing through early tomorrow morning. It'll move out pretty quickly. I would imagine it's moving at a pretty quick pace. So by around lunchtime Thursday, those are already well east of us. And then once again, if we see a lot of rain early Thursday, less of a chance we see too much rain Thursday afternoon. Into Friday, not really changing things up too much. We're going to bring back early morning and possibly afternoon rain chances Friday. Cannot rule out that some of these are on the stronger side, but the risk does look lower relative to what we're expecting tomorrow morning. And overall, not expecting necessarily washout conditions for everybody. They could be just mainly found across the central and northern CS array throughout Thursday morning. Into our Friday, I would imagine that's a little bit better opportunity for more scattered coverage of those showers and storms, and those really could be at any point during the day on Friday. It is going to get a little bit gusty Thursday as these storms start to approach early tomorrow morning. We'll likely see those winds gusting over 20, maybe close to 30, and then once again, if those storms do stay strong tomorrow, cannot rule out some severe wind gusts. The heat's going to be a factor for us the next couple of days as well. We're getting a break from the humidity today, but it's going to be right back up to 105, possibly even hotter than that over the next several afternoons. So unfortunately, we are not going to be able to enjoy this lower humidity for too long. Getting hotter into the weekend, 97 Saturday and Sunday, but storm chances look to remain very low through the weekend.
All right, thanks, Riley. A Georgia veteran's dream vacation to the Bahamas turned into a real nightmare. She contracted a rare flesh-eating bacteria, so fast-moving and deadly, doctors had to amputate her leg.
Yeah, and Amanda Rose shares her harrowing story.
Look, here's the steamer. Jennifer Barlow always dreamed of soaking in that Bahamas sun and swimming in this clear blue water. What she didn't plan was coming back home to Atlanta with a dangerous infection that almost took her life.
The bacteria could have entered from a nick and when I was shaving my legs.
Barlow contracted a rare and fast-moving flesh-eating bacteria, leaving her right leg swelling and bright red.
My brother rushed me to the VA, and that's where, when I walked in, they knew immediately that I was septic.
Barlow spent the next month at the VA, and 4 months after that in the trauma center at Grady.
When I woke up, I had what looked like a zombie leg. It looked like a dog had gotten a hold of it and just chewed all over it.
Doctors later making the tough decision to remove Barlow's leg entirely. As Barlow adjusts to the world outside of her hospital bed, the 33-year-old has a fresh perspective on life.
And the fact that we are not promised tomorrow.
Barlow leaves you with this message. When you think something is wrong, don't wait to see a doctor. Act quickly.
Make sure that they do a thorough examination and don't, let them get you in and out.
Amanda Rose, Atlanta News First.
Medical experts say that bacteria can be found all around us, even living on our skin, but what happened to Barlow is a 1 in a million chance.
Breaking news live at 5, an Augusta man found guilty of murder. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. In August of 2020, 31-year-old Zyra Smith shot and killed Tobias Fleming and left his body in a dumpster on Shalimar Drive. In court, Smith claimed to be an innocent preacher and prophet. A judge sentencing Smith to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 5 years for several charges, including felony murder and malice murder. We're back in a bit.
DoctorofAugusta.com.
Cybercrime in the U.S. is increasing, and a new report by the U.S. Government Accountability Office has found the nation lacks comprehensive cybercrime data and monitoring, leaving the country less prepared to combat it.
In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Carice Jackman breaks down the report and has information on how you can avoid becoming a cybercrime victim.
Some words can have different meanings depending on the context they're used in. But according to a recent U.S. Government Accountability Office report, having different definitions for cybercrime hurts consumers in the long run.
Cybercrime is growing, it's very prevalent, and it's hurting the public in their pockets.
Marisol Cruz-Kane is the Director of Information Technology and Cybersecurity at the GAO, a government watchdog agency. Kane says a dozen federal agencies work to detect, investigate, and prosecute cyber crimes, such as credit card fraud or identity theft. But she says because there's no official definition of cybercrime, data collection is likely inconsistent and incomplete.
So each of the 12 entities that are involved in looking at cybercrime in some different way have a different definition of how they're interpreting what a cybercrime is. We definitely need one definition for cybercrime, and that'll allow you to measure them against each other and really find out what the impact is.
And though cyber crimes are likely underreported, the impact to victims is still significant, with billions of dollars in losses.
I think with cybercrime, it affects the public in so many different ways. There could be reputational damage, financial damage that just can be lasting, especially in certain age demographics. Children are very vulnerable, our elderly are very vulnerable.
Last year, Congress required the Department of Justice to develop definitions and categories for cyber crimes in its national reporting system that should help agencies track and monitor these crimes.
When it comes to steps people can take to avoid cyber crimes, Kane says watch for the warning signs and use precautions.
Always use either your phone or your computer security protections. They'll ask you for better passwords. You can put certain controls onto your computer to make sure that it makes it harder for them to access your computer.
She also says don't click on unknown links, and if your gut tells you something is wrong, it probably is.
not everybody is a nice player on the internet, and you should just make sure that you are in control and know who you're making transactions with.
With this watching your wallets, I'm Carice Jackman.
The GAO sent a draft of its report to the federal agencies. It also plans on sending copies of the report to congressional committees and the heads of several government agencies.
Well, if you have plans to head up to the lake the next couple of days, remember we will have those rain chances with us early the next couple of mornings, so be safe out on the water. Now look at that forecast coming up. Welcome back. We are looking at the heat index below 100 for most spots this afternoon, so a little relief from that summer humidity today. Unfortunately, it's not going to last too long. Looking forward over the next couple of afternoons, we're expecting that peak heat index to be around 105 all the way through the weekend and early next week, so take advantage of the nice afternoon while we do have it. Not looking at many storms on our First Alert radar network, and we do look to stay dry through at least early tonight. It's going to be late tonight, early tomorrow morning. We are expecting another wave of potential strong storms that will start early tomorrow morning. But for this evening, if you have any plans stepping out, temps will hold steady near 90 through the next hour or so, then we'll drop it. Welcome back. We are looking at the heat index below 100 for most spots this afternoon, so a little relief from that summer humidity today. Unfortunately, it's not going to last too long. Looking forward over the next couple of afternoons, we're expecting that peak heat index to be around 105 all the way through the weekend and early next week, so take advantage of the nice afternoon while we do have it. Not looking at many storms on our First Alert radar network, and we do look to stay dry through at least early tonight. It's going to be late tonight, early tomorrow morning. We are expecting another wave of potential strong storms that will start early tomorrow morning. But for this evening, if you have any plans stepping out, temps will hold steady near 90 through the next hour or so, then we'll drop into the 80s by sunset, and late tonight we'll most likely see our low temps stay into the 70s. For your Thursday, we are expecting the chance for those storms early into the morning, so for that morning commute or heading out to the bus stop, make sure you are staying weather aware. This would be a good idea to just kind of open up that First Alert weather app and see where those storms are and see if they're getting close to your area. By midday, we should be drying out, and then if we do see a good bit of rain early tomorrow morning, I'd imagine it's not much of a threat for rain later Thursday afternoon. For our Friday, we're going to bring back more scattered storms and then cranking up the heat heading into the weekend.
All right, thanks, Riley. Stick with us. We have much more news and weather coming up after a short break as News 12 Live at 5 continues.